There's this saying I heard that we need to be reminded more often than we need to be taught. And that was like the theme of this video. There's some things I didn't actually realize were important until like my performance actually had to be really good for me to achieve the things I wanted to achieve. So like when I was in uni, right, I would wake up every day, I'd go buy food, I would come out, eat, I would go to work, I'd do some work, I'd try and get things started on my online business. And then I would come back, I'd sleep, and like when I wake up, I'll just get back to work, right? And everything was fine. I wasn't really tracking my performance. I didn't really know how well I was doing. I was just trying stuff, I was just figuring stuff out. And I was driven kind of purely by excitement and like intrigue, As time went on and my performance became more important, like when I actually had clients paying me and I had to actually do work for them, or like I had meetings I had to show up to and all of that stuff, I didn't really realize how much of a change in routine was needed to actually like keep up with the new responsibilities I had. And so I was basically living life the same way. The first Airbnb I stayed at after university, we had this place we would go buy food in the mornings, right? And very quickly I started to notice a pattern, which I'm sure a lot of you people have also noticed. I would wake up in the morning. If I woke up late and they were out of food, so I couldn't buy food from them, I would probably just not eat for a while. And I would be so productive that day. Like I'll just be cooking, But then on the days when I wake up early, like I actually wake up on time and I go buy food and then I eat and then I get to work, I have like energy for like an hour, right? I'll be doing the things I'm supposed to be doing. And after like an hour, I become slow. I become sluggish. I don't really want to do the work. When I take a break, I don't want to come back to work. And like things would just become difficult, right? I just feel lazy. And I wasn't entirely sure why. It took me a while to realize that being lazy and being disciplined aren't just things that happen in your mind, right? It's not just like, you can fight through any obstacle you have by just thinking the right thoughts. I realized that there's a lot more that goes into being productive and actually doing the things you should be doing than that. The first of those things is realizing that maybe you're not just lazy and undisciplined. Maybe you're just doing something that you shouldn't be doing, right? Something that you just genuinely don't care about. Something that you're not really willing to put in any effort for, because the outcome is not something you want in the first place. You're just in a position where you've been told to put in so much effort to get something that you don't want in the first place. The easiest switch, in my opinion, that you can make is taking another look at what you're actually doing and seeing if you actually care about getting the rewards that come out of that thing. I remember I met this guy and he was telling me about this goal he has of having 5 wives, like at least 5 wives, right? And he was like telling me all the benefits of having 5 wives. And I was thinking through it and I was like, that just sounds incredibly stressful. Like that just sounds like so much work. Why? If I had to wake up every morning and work on having 5 wives, I would not want to do the thing, because I don't want the outcome in the first place. Once you take a look at what you're actually trying to do, and if you actually care about the results of putting in all of this work, and you find something that you actually care about, you're instantly going to see that like you have more of a desire to do the work, right? Because you actually have a good time doing the work. The second thing you need to focus on is your body. Digestion is the enemy. This is what I found. In the mornings, if I eat carbs of any sort, I'm kind of cooked for the rest of the day. Like I will have some energy and then I'll just start to feel sluggish. I'll start to feel slow because my body is spending so much energy on digestion. Ideally, I wouldn't eat anything at all. I found I'm at my best when I just avoid food for as long as possible. And the ideal situation is that you set a specific time when you're done working. There's this concept called done by one from, I believe, Brendon Burchard. And the idea is that there's very few industries where you can't really just win by 1 p.m. if you wake up early and you just put in a focused amount of work. And if you do that, it means, okay, after 1, maybe I'm doing calls. If I'm doing calls and I've eaten, I'm feeling slow, sluggish, it's fine. Speaking with people and engaging with them energizes me. And so I'm fine with that. But when I'm just trying to focus and work, I need to avoid food for as long as possible. And giving myself that end time means I can create a routine around that. I can plan an intermittent fasting routine where the period in which I'm working, I don't take in any food. I've spoken to some people that say that this just doesn't affect them. Frankly, I don't believe them, but I mean, sure, if it works for them, why not? But in my experience, eating anything, and especially eating carbs of any kind, will just destroy you for the rest of the day. Now we come to the mind. There's a lot to cover here. The first thing is overcomplication. It's when you have just so much going on in your life that you really don't have any more space left in your mind to think about the things that you actually want to do, because you're constantly distracted. You're being pulled here and being pulled there and so on and so forth. One of the things I learned that helped me the most in this area is kind of realizing that as an adult, there are the non-negotiables. Like, you need to be able to pay rent, you need to be able to afford food, you need to be able to afford utilities. But most other things are kind of optional. If you wanted to, you could take a period of your life and just reduce it to the basics, where the only things you spend money on are your rent and your utilities and food, and you don't have any other real responsibilities that you have to take care of at that time. So you can just put all of your energy on one thing that you really wanted to do. And you don't have to live that way forever. You know, at some point you can start going out again, you can start getting all of the luxuries that you want. But for a period of time, it does help to simplify your life, not have to deal with so much stress, and just focus on the things that really matter to you. The next thing to think about is destination fixation. I move around a good amount, right? Like, I move houses quite a bit. And I found last year I moved like 3 or 4 times. And every single time I was about to move, I would have it planned like the week before. So I'd know, okay, next week I'm moving. And for that entire week, I would really struggle to maintain a routine, because whenever I'm planning like I'm in the new place, as opposed to here, right? It's like when you have something you're really looking forward to, and now that thing is just like always in your mind. It's just this constant distraction until you've actually like done the thing. And so I found that when it comes time to do something that you're really interested in, it really helps to just like commit, right? Be in one place, eat the same thing all the time, wear the same kinds of clothes all the time, you know, just speak to the same people all the time, and don't introduce so much variation into your life, because every single change that you introduce is something you have to look forward to, and it's going to be a distraction to you until you've actually achieved that thing or gotten that thing that you want. The next thing is dopamine intoxication. This is basically the idea that it becomes really difficult to focus on the things that you kind of know you should be doing if everything else in your life is just more enjoyable than the thing you know you should be doing. Like, if you had to sit down and write out a blog post or something, do you think that's more or less enjoyable than like scrolling through Instagram? Because Instagram is a fun place to be, honestly. If you have alternatives that are like very easy to access and are a lot more enjoyable than the thing that you actually know you should be doing, there's a good chance you end up doing the thing that's a lot more enjoyable, right? And so during those periods, it helps to kind of isolate yourself from everything. If you can, and for a majority of people, this is something you can do. Like, it's not going to cost you financially. You can get off social media for a few months so you can actually focus on something you want to do, right? You can get off Netflix, you can get off YouTube, you know, get off Snapchat, and you'll find you actually have a lot of time, and you'll find you're incredibly bored because there's nothing to do. But it means that when you go and do the thing that you actually want to do, it's kind of the only enjoyable thing left in your life. And so you just end up spending a lot more time doing that thing. My recommendation here is try not to do this for too long, because when you come back into doing the things that you used to enjoy, it's going to be like a pretty big switch, and you might just feel incredibly demotivated from every other productive thing you were doing before that point. And on the days when you feel like you just really can't get anything done, like no matter what you try, there's an exercise I like to do that helps me a lot. The exercise is, ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today where if I did nothing else for the rest of the day, right? If the rest of the day I just spent it on tomfoolery, I would still feel like I have won today. I would still feel like I've won the day because I did that one thing, right? And if you can find that thing, just do that thing and then accept that perhaps today is not your most productive day, but you have taken a real concrete trackable step to getting closer to the outcomes that you want. And the last thing to think about is a concept called diffuse thinking. This is basically when you're in a state where you're not actually working on something, but your brain is still trying to connect the dots, right? It's like when you're talking to someone and you're trying to remember someone else's name, but like the name just isn't coming even though you're trying. And then later in the day, you're like in the shower or something, and then the name just pops into mind and you're like, okay, yeah, that experience is what diffuse thinking is all about. And the way it works is when you take some time off trying to actually do whatever the thing is that you know you need to do, and you focus on activities that don't flood your brain with new information, your brain will kind of default to working on the old problems that it had. And so let's say you take some time off work and you go for a walk, right? It's a familiar terrain. You kind of know where to go. Like, it's just muscle memory at this point. You're just walking and you know where to go. Your mind just ruminates on the problems that you've already set for it. And then it tries to figure out those problems and then just gives you those answers at the most random times. The problem comes if your relaxation time is spent on things that flood your brain with new information. So like if you're playing a really interactive video game or something, your mind needs to be focused on that for you to actually be able to pull that off, right? Or if you're scrolling through social media, there's so much new information coming at you all at once that your mind doesn't have the bandwidth to focus on other things. But if you're focused on some creative pursuit, or you're listening to music, or you're taking a shower, you're doing chores, you can just kind of do these things effortlessly and give your mind time to work on the big problems that haven't been solved yet. And that's what's worked for me. It's having a goal that I actually care about achieving. I'm trying to keep my mind fresh and trying to keep my body clean, and then just giving it time, right? Just taking one day at a time. And on the days when I'm not able to do as much as I want to do, I just try to do one thing, and then I can kind of like let go and say, okay, tomorrow we'll be back and we'll try again. So I decided to make this because I know that there's a ton of other people out there that are like me. Like, you value freedom over everything else. And not freedom in the sense of like private jets and yachts and supercars. Like, all that is cool. But I mean in the sense of just like having peace of mind, and having the freedom to live a full life, to experience all the things you want to experience while you're alive. And if you're one of those people, especially if you've been trying stuff, like you are taking courses, you are looking for mentors, you're starting side hustles, all of that stuff, just trying to figure it out, but you don't feel like you're as far as you had hoped to be by now, the fact is things aren't really set up to help you succeed, right? There's an incredible amount of marketing that goes on every single day targeted at people like you to sell you on some new product or some new program or some new business model that's going to be your last chance to get rich. It's not that achieving that freedom is impossible. It's just that we need to get better at differentiating the signal and what actually matters from all of the noise that's out there. We need to understand the principles behind actually creating value so we can earn that freedom and not just keep running after the new business model every week. I started out in online business in 2019. Fast forward to 2022, I had a marketing agency doing quite well. And so I dropped out of school. I put all of my energy and attention into that, and it was going well. But I always kind of had this feeling that my business was just a cheaper, slower, lower quality duplicate of someone else's business, right? And so in 2023, I decided, let's just not think about money. Let's not focus on like trying to make a bunch of money this year. Let's just try to become the best in the space. Let's make it so that when you sign a client, they are basically guaranteed results. So I started trying stuff, right? Initially, I would just try stuff I would find on Money Twitter, stuff I would find on YouTube. And eventually I took some time to just think through everything I was doing, and I came up with my own ideas, right? The first time I tried this, I came up with an offer. And at the time I was signing like 2 or 3 clients a month for my agency. And I launched this offer. I started sending emails. I used cold outreach to sign clients for this. I started sending emails on a Monday, and in 3 days I signed 3 clients. Right, but it didn't really click. Like in my mind, it was just an experiment, something I was testing out. And so I just went back to doing what I was doing either way. I went through the cycle like 2 or 3 times. And then I looked back and I was like, oh, okay, there's a pattern here. Whenever I try to do something on my own, whenever I take the time to understand the principles and come up with something that's unique to me and not just duplicating someone else's business, the market actually pays attention. In this space especially, there's this idea that the quickest way to succeed is to find someone with a successful business. You duplicate what they do and boom, you succeed too, right? You can skip all of the mistakes they made and you can just fast track your way to success. The problem with that is everyone else believes that too, and so everyone else is trying the exact same strategy you are trying. So you just end up as one person in a pool of thousands of people doing the exact same thing. Like if you remember back in the day with Imangaji's agency, he had this tagline: as we help like e-com business generate a spine-chilling ROI. If you go online now on Google and you look up spine-chilling ROI, you'll see a list of just random businesses that all say they help other businesses generate a spine-chilling ROI. Right? Everyone just does the exact same thing. Then there's people like me who will come up with our own headline, we'll come up with our own USP. But at the core, our business is basically just a lower quality version of someone else's business. We're just copying, we're just duplicating. And we keep doing this over and over again because we believe that's the easy way to succeed, right? But there's a quote from Alex Hormozi that says, the hard way is the easy way, because the easy way never gets you there. The people that are succeeding, the people that we look up to, they come up with new things. They are creators and not just duplicators, right? And the only way for us to create is to understand the principles behind success and then combine that with what's unique to us, so we can create value in the market. We can create something that the market doesn't already have. There's a Ralph Emerson quote that I like to keep in mind that goes, as to methods, there may be a million and then some, but principles are few. The man who grasps principles can successfully select his own methods. The man who tries methods ignoring principles is sure to have trouble. Even though this is the way to actually get results, it can seem like it's the harder path to take, but it doesn't have to be. You know, my belief is that one idea, one thought, one mental model, one realization, if it's the right one, can change your life and can change your business and can turn everything around for you. And my goal is to bring those insights to you. If that's something you like to see, join the newsletter with the form below this video, and I'll see you inside.